All right, guys, Automated Garage back today with the same 2004 6.0 that we just did. Had the gel and fuel issue, did a HFCM injectors, and I did an oil cooler. That wasn't on camera, but I did an oil cooler also. He drove the truck for about 2 weeks or so. Everything was fine. Called me yesterday, said, hey man, I cranked the truck up to warm it up. Went back in the house, come back 10 minutes later, and it turned itself off. It was dead, or not dead, but it turned itself off. Went to crank it again, and he said, all I get is a thud. You hear the starter throwing out, hitting the flywheel, and not doing anything. And of course, immediately I'm thinking, okay, we got a stuck injector or something. It's hydrolocked. So let me show you what happens when I turn the alternator counterclockwise. And basically, I'm gonna take y'all along with me on this and diagnosing it with it, because I really don't know what I'm thinking right now, because it doesn't have all the telltale signs of hydrolock, but we'll see. So y'all stick on. So we got our 15/16 socket right here on the alternator. You turn it counterclockwise. Now, I know you can't see it, but I've already done this once, and it is turning the crank down there every time. And this is probably, doing it this time, probably 5 or 6 total revolutions I've turned it over now. But I really don't want to do it again, but when you jump the starter there with your little wire, it goes there by the blower box, it just you hear the starter throw out, and it's not turning it over. So I'm at the point now where I'm going to pull the glow plugs out. We're going to do the same thing with the starter. We're going to see what it does then. Let me show you the exhaust manifold, because usually you can tell if you got hydrolock with that. So we're under the truck now, and you can see there's no wet spots on the exhaust manifold. Let me turn this light down. There we go. Up pipes are dry at the joint. We got a little bit of a coolant leak. It looks like the blue hose is leaking for the EGR. Nothing extremely wet here, like anything's going on. But I did just try to turn the belt clockwise, and I'm only able to get the crank to turn a little bit going clockwise. Of course, you're putting slack in the belt that way with the tensioner, so that's not really a good way to tell either. So I guess we're gonna go on and pull the glow plugs and turn this thing over and see what happens, I guess. All right, so we pulled our glow plugs on both sides now. Everything looked totally normal on the driver's side. They all came out with a little bit of oil on them. Nothing looked or smelled like diesel. And so this is the passenger side, 7531. 100% dry on the back 3. Front one looked normal with oil coming out on it like they usually do. So I don't know. I don't really know what that means yet. But now we're gonna jump the starter and see what happens now. Do you have anything?
Now this front one looks like it's blowing more, whatever it's blowing. It's not like, I don't know if that's diesel or not, but it's blowing more in this front one.
What made you have anything come out of it? Moisture or anything?
Yeah.
Is it still doing it?
It's still doing it.
All right, go ahead. All right, so I don't feel like it's hydrolocked. And I'm relieved to know that it spins over free and spins over just fine without the glow plugs in it. So I think I'm gonna throw the glow plugs back in it, try the starter again, but that still doesn't explain why it died on him when he went to crank it up that morning, and he had to go restart it and then discovered this problem. So there's no codes on the truck. I think I may have said that already. I had a low, high fuel circuit code, and that's because I unplugged the pump before we rolled it off of the wrecker. Anyways, put the glow plugs back in. I guess we're gonna see what happens with turning it over then. All right, glow plugs are back in, and this is what it does. Spinning over nice and consistent. That was not enough that blew out of there to be hydrolocked. So now I don't even know what to say.
So if it would have blew out of there, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, if it, what it usually does when it does, I'm talking about the fender up here is going to be covered in oil or diesel or whatever is causing your hydrolock, which this is EGR deleted, so it would just be diesel.
There was a whole bunch of fumes coming out of that first tube.
It wasn't that much though.
But we did it a bunch, but it never blew out a big amount at one.
I guess we're going to hook the fuel pump back up and see if it starts, I guess. Let it run.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so we cranked it up like y'all saw, and I cut the camera because there was a noticeable miss. The miss got worse and worse. She started white smoking, so she's loading up on fuel until she died, which she ran for what, 20 seconds or something maybe, and then she died. So I went back, and she did crank back up, and the miss was really bad then, and then she was really bellowing white smoke, so we cut her off. I did a buzz test real quick. They all buzzed great except for cylinder 2. Cylinder 2 is the one in that one clip where it didn't shoot out a bunch like normally they do when they're hydrolocked, but it did shoot out a significant amount of diesel fuel mist compared to the others didn't really do anything. So we have a stuck injector, which is cylinder 2, which is right here on the front on the driver's side. So what we're going to do now, which will be the ultimate test to say that's it, that's all that it is, I'm going to pull the glow plug out of that cylinder, that one and only cylinder, and we're going to spin it over with the starter. And if she spins over fine now and blows that diesel fuel out, then we know we have that one injector that's stuck. And that's what we're gonna go after. So we're gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna wrap this up until Monday when I can go get the injector. So there's the one we just pulled out. Let me zoom you in here. That's not oil, that's diesel fuel. Just raw diesel fuel out of cylinder 2.
Tap it on there the first time, or just hold it on?
All right, I'm ready. Now hold it on there. Oh shit, fire.
It's stuck to it.
So forgive me, I have diesel fuel on the camera here now, but this is what I was talking about earlier. That, I'll say it to you on the fender here. That's what it's like when it's hydro-locked. I'm gonna stand back now and let Gary do that again. So I'm done for the day now. It's Saturday. I'm gonna go in and have some family time, but I wanted to get this figured out for John so at least he had some peace of mind of knowing that nothing is catastrophic with it, because he was thinking, man, it sounds so bad, something's wrong inside with it. So anyways, we're gonna tear into this probably Monday morning, and I'm gonna go over to Ford and swap this injector out. Of course, we'll make sure at first that we don't have a torn O-ring or the compression copper O-ring at the bottom, washer at the bottom, and double check that, and that should all be fine. I'm very particular on making sure everything's clean and lubed up and torqued right when I do this, but we'll double check, and I go swap the injector out and get her back going, which I'm gonna want to do an oil change on it now, because initially it didn't push out that much fuel because I feel like it sat for 2 days before it got here and probably leaked down past the rings to an extent. So he's got some contaminated fuel now, or diluted fuel rather, with the diesel fuel. So we'll do another oil change and with that injector, and then she'll be good to go. So we'll catch up with y'all then. What you got there, Gary?
New baby injector.
New little injector, all greased up. So what did we find? Nothing?
Nothing.
Stuck injector? So we blew our cup out and we blew out our injector hole down, just because you always want to make sure there's no oil in those so you can get a true torque. And it was torqued down still, so we just had a stuck injector. Everything else was right. I even double checked these just to make sure everything's torqued down the way it's supposed to be. So we're gonna throw this new injector in, torque it down. Before we put our glow plug back in, we're gonna spin it over one more time, make sure there's nothing in the cylinder, get everything put back together and crank her up, and we'll catch up with y'all then. All right, we're all back together. I spun it over for a good about 20 seconds with that glow plug out on that cylinder still, just to make sure there was nothing else or residual in it. Put the glow plug back in, got the harness on. I left the inner fender wheels out for now. We're gonna get her cranked up, make sure she's running good. So let's spin her over, see what happens. All right, here we go. We got an empty oil rail, so we got to build some pressure. Make sure she's not smoking. Just a little bit, but I'm sure there was some in the exhaust from all that. All right, she's all cleared up, finished burning any diesel that was in the exhaust manifold and any other place out of it. Got everything put up, got our inner fender wells back in. Let's take her for a spin, make sure everything's good. All right, she's running great. Let's give her a rip. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video on getting the 6.0 right. It sucks doing a job twice, but John's a great customer, and it's nice to take care of somebody that's a great customer. So it also goes to show you that just brand new, good quality parts out of the box can have an issue with them. Like I said, he probably drove the truck, I don't know, 150, 200 miles over the course of the last 2 weeks. It's not necessarily his daily. So the story was, I don't know if I gave y'all the story at the beginning, but he cranked it up to let it warm up for about 10 minutes, came back out, it was dead. So what it was, when that thing got stuck wide open, it was dumping so much fuel, it just hydrolocked it, just totally just totally filled that cylinder up till it just couldn't burn it. Hydrolocked that one, got lucky, didn't bend a rod, didn't crack a piston on this job at all. So one new injector that got swapped out at Ford, and I don't know, about 3 hours worth of labor swapping it out and diagnosing it. So it's Automatic Garage signing out. Go check out all our other Powerstroke videos and Ford content we got on the channel. Go check us out at Facebook, Instagram, and Rumble. We'll holler at y'all later. Also, if you're in the West Tennessee area, you're looking for somebody to work on your Ford or your Powerstroke, go check us out at automaticgarage.com. All our contact stuff is on there. You can email us or give me a call, and we'll see what we can do to help you out.